My guest today and I met several years ago. We met at a local co-working space. We were in an end of the year planning session for our businesses together and later began utilizing each other's services to propel our businesses forward. I have watched Heather grow leaps and bounds, and she is truly an inspiration to me and such an example of having a vision, holding it close, and consistently showing up and doing what it takes to fulfill that vision. For her, her larger vision and her commitment is to her family, her business, her team, and she's always making sure that she's staying out of her own way along the way. Heather is the CEO and founder of Hammersmith Support. They offer WordPress design, web development, web design, search engine optimization, and more. And they have a true focus on giving back, and their customer service is amazing. In case you may not know, I coach high achievers, specifically emerging leaders inside of companies, leaders like Heather who run their own small business, leaders who are leading impact projects or leading families, people who have impact and a desire to impact. This matters to me because I know when I'm coaching an individual like Heather, it's not only impacting her, but rippling to the people in her circle of influence, which happen to be her daughter, her husband, her team, her friends, and so on. Heather and I talk once or twice a month at this point. These conversations keep her focused on her largest commitments and give her a place to show up just as she is, unpack her thinking and what's happening in her life. And we work together and help her get unstuck where she may be stuck. We help her see from different angles and perspectives so that she can really move forward into the life that she's building and creating. We help her clean up her thinking in places where it may be limiting her mobility. And she always walks away with some ideas that she's ready to put into action. Heather has been a client of mine for some time. She sets such a great example of how to get results in coaching because she takes what we talk about, the insights she has during our conversations, and quickly integrates. And because of that, she reaps the rewards. In this conversation, Heather shares her own journey with defeating self-talk and the steps she has taken and continues to take to get out of her own way, along with some really great ideas as you approach the end of the year and this time of reflection and creating for the new year. Without further ado, meet my client and friend, Heather Locke. I'm Carla Reeves, and this is Differently, a podcast where we explore the ins and outs of what becomes possible when we're willing to think, do, and show up differently to the moments of our everyday lives. Hey, Heather, welcome to Differently. I'm really excited you're here.
Oh, thank you, Carla. I'm excited to always have a conversation with you.
So good. So let's start by just giving everybody a sense of who you are and what you do in the world. And yeah, just give us a sense of where you are in your life and what you're up to.
Sure. I'm Heather Locke, and I own a company called Hammersmith Support. We are a web development company. We specialize in WordPress. We do design, development, hosting, and maintenance. And I've really built my company to be a little bit different than just a standard web agency. We are very customer service focused, women owned, women run. We really try to give personal service and help lead company sites, help their sites evolve and be proactive in managing them. So that's kind of what sets us apart. And then we also have a giving back philosophy. So we make giving back just part of our company mission, and we support clients, several clients in a pro bono capacity, and do lots of sort of nonprofit work from within the company.
Mm-hmm. And I've so watched you walk that talk, like what you just described. And when you and I met, so we met back at Hera Hub. So Heather's company is here local to Phoenix, Arizona, but you've just expanded to Tennessee, right?
Yes, expanded to Nashville, which I'm very excited about.
Yeah, so good. And we met at Hera Hub, and your company was quite a bit smaller at that point, if I remember correctly. Like you've done a lot of growth, and I don't even know how long we've known each other now.
Yeah, I think I met you in fall of 2018.
We were
And
like planning the next year, right? Like in a planning
yes.
session shortly after that. Yeah.
And
You had big dreams and goals.
I did. 2018 was kind of a turning point for me. I had been building my company since around 2011. I started it right around the time my daughter was born in 2011. I joke I had two babies at once. And and I had worked doing freelance projects kind of my whole career. So I'd worked in an agency as like a project manager, but I was always building websites on the side. I was always taking on little projects. I was always, donating my time and doing things for other people as far as and committees I was on in the web capacity. So I was always doing kind of web work even outside of my job. So when I started my business, really things just kind of organically fell into place for me. I had work kind of instantly, and I didn't have big dreams at that time. I was just trying to cover my salary and have more flexibility to be with my infant daughter at the time.
Mm.
And I went along that way pretty, for about 6, 7 years. I never went to a networking event really. I never really stepped out of my house that much as far as, to really put myself out there with my business. And it was around the summer of 2018 that I really decided that this could be more, and I wanted more, and I wanted to do more. And at that time, I read the book, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by
Mm.
Shad Helmstetter. And I really discovered reading that book how much I had really held myself back just with my own self-talk and my self-beliefs, and just telling myself, I wasn't good enough, or I was a poser, or, imposter syndrome. And I really was very intentional and started putting a lot of work into doing self-talk, and it really changed everything. So
Mm.
it kind of got me on the next path of growth, and then that path of growth led me to you and the work that we do together. So um, that's kind of a high level history of it.
Yeah. So I'm curious, like what had you reach for that book? Like what was the catalyst that had you search and find that book? If you're willing to share.
I'm willing to share.
Because
I'm
I
just
think we
not
can all
sure if
yeah, we can
I
all relate
remember.
to those moments, like
Yeah.
when we go looking for that something that's going to help us sort of go to the next level.
I think I heard somebody mention it on a show or in a magazine article. Um, I honestly don't remember exactly, but I did feel a little stagnant at the time. I can tell you that I was not having the best spring that year. And I just felt a little stagnant. Um, and somehow that book came, maybe it's just an act of God,
Yeah,
but
I love
that
that.
book
Showed up at
came
the
into my
perfect
lap.
time.
Yes.
Yeah, so when you say like reading that changed everything, like give us a couple like tangible pieces that like what exactly did it shift for you? Or was there like a particular thing where your mind and your thinking was getting in the way and that really helped you to shift or something?
Well, I just never thought I was capable of building a legitimate web development business. I just thought I was kind of just one girl, and I think what that book did is it just really improved my confidence level and gave me more self-belief um, that I can do this. And it also just opened up my thinking to where this business could go, what I could do with it. Sorry about
Mm.
that. So I felt like it really just kind of opened a door for me. And it wasn't just that book. I found a self-talk track on YouTube. I think I've shared it with you
You
before.
did.
And I started doing that every day. And it was really the practice. I mean, the book led me the way, but it was really the practice of doing it on a daily basis um, that made the difference, I would say.
Mm. I think it's so important. Like Heather, I mean, I've watched you. Like you are a high achiever, and you have created a lot of success in your life, and in not just your business, but all over your life. And I think it's so important for people listening, like that, you know, everything can look good on the outside, but I know from coaching lots and lots of leaders over the years that a lot of times there's an internal struggle or an internal grappling that isn't really apparent on the outside. And I think it's so good for people to know that that's normal. It doesn't mean that something's wrong with you. Like we all deal with, and when I remember when I first had to coach like high level executives in a company, I was terrified. Like, who am I to coach these people? Like, I haven't led teams this large. I haven't done this, but I did it anyway. And what I learned was that it doesn't matter what level you are at, how much money you make. We all grapple with the same human things. And it was so good to know.
Absolutely. Yes, I
Yeah.
totally believe that. And it's just kind of where you are in your journey.
Yes. And kind of what's going to take you to that next stage. And I think it's also I love that, like for you, how did you were to put spot in your business where you knew you wanted to go to the next level. Did you know that, I mean, I think you've taken a business strategy track too with coaching and support, but did you know that you had to get out of your own way? Like you knew that that was a component of it?
Yes, well, I knew that. Well, I'll tell you a story. So when I first started kind of seeing the business differently and like where it could go, and I rebranded it and gave it a new name. And what I started doing was talking about it because I had so many friends that probably had no idea what I did. I never talked about it.
I can so relate to
And
that.
I was having a glass of wine with a friend of mine, and I said, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to. I don't know if you know what I do in my business, but this is what I do, and this is what I'm working towards. And I said, I'm really working on telling people more because I feel like if I'm going to make this successful, I have to put it out there. And we started getting into specifically about social media because I wasn't a big social media fan. I didn't even have a Facebook account at the time. I rarely posted. And I said, I think one of the hardest things for me is just putting myself out there because I've never really done that. And I feel like I'm going to have to do it to some extent to make this work. And her response to me was, when I look at my friends that are successful and are doing really well, they all put themselves out there. And that's when I knew I had to really still work on my confidence and just work on being bolder, going to networking events, talking to people, sharing with my friends what I do, what I was trying to accomplish. Like I needed to own it. I wasn't owning it before. I was just doing it. It was just kind of a job. It wasn't a passion, and I made it a passion.
Hmm. I love that. Usually, like, it's the other way around, right? Say more
Well,
about that.
I talked to my daughter about this a lot because she's 10, and um, that you see kids that are her age that are really into something, really into swimming, or really into an instrument, or, they get passionate, but not all of them do.
That's right.
I, I tell her, I say, and I believe this is true. I believe you can take a spark and fan it into a flame.
Mm.
Um, it may not come naturally, but if you have an affinity towards something or something you want, you can make that a passion. Um, so I think that's what I did. I just took a spark and made it into a flame.
That is so beautiful. And like, that is such beautiful advice and wisdom to pass on to your daughter. So I think it's so true. Like, sometimes it's like people are just born with something they're supposed to do, right? We all know those
Mhm.
people. And for others of us, we weren't born with that thing. We have to find that thing, or like you're saying, find a spark and then fan it. That's beautiful. I didn't know that. That's cool. I learned something new. Yeah, I love that. So, okay, so let's go back to you were at this point in changing your business. You and I were in that sort of vision planning session, and I'm trying to think. I don't think it was very long after that we started talking, and just so everyone knows, I'm also a client of Heather's. So she does the maintenance on my website, and so we both have experienced each other's service.
Absolutely. And I think I'd known you maybe about a year or so before we started working together. It was right when the kind of the shutdown started happening, and we connected over, did a little conference call with another friend of ours. And somehow that led us to start working together. I really don't remember the specifics of it at this point, Carla.
Yeah, yeah, I don't either.
But I will definitely say I say this all the time when people ask me, like, I used to have no idea what a coach did until I started working with a coach. Um, and it's just been an amazing experience for me, and really just helped my life in so many ways, just given me, um, I used to describe it, and I think I gave you a quote for your website about this, as like going on vacation where you can kind of see your life from the outside looking in. So conversations with in the coaching, I feel like give me that perspective, like help me look at things from outside of myself. And I think that's been like the most valuable part of it for me. That and the little tools that you share with me and that I've passed on to many people at this point.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that is true. Like, if we go back to like the self-talk journey, and a coach, like, I feel like my role is sometimes to let somebody just unpack what's going on in their head and kind of sort through it to make better sense of it, or to leverage it, or to show different perspective or angles. Because I think when you're locked in, I know when I'm locked in my own thinking, sometimes I'm not seeing clearly. Sometimes I'm attached to ideas that are totally not true, and maybe based in the past. And so as a coach, my job is to help you pull that stuff apart and look at it and look at what you ultimately want, and help you align your thinking in a way that can create mobility in your life. And it's been really cool to watch you do that, you know and be coachable in that way, and you always go right away and integrate it into your life, whether it's in your parenting or in your marriage or in your business. It's awesome to watch you do that.
It's definitely been a journey. And I think that's what you said. It's like the unpacking is good. And you always start every call like that with me, which is, it's like, what's on your mind today, or what's on your heart today? And I love that. But I think going back to kind of what I was talking about with the confidence and what you were just saying, how you get like really attached to an idea, sometimes, and we were, I think, talking about this earlier, is, maybe you're not coming from a place of confidence when you're dealing with an issue or looking at maybe a client issue or an issue in business. And when you take that step back and just approach it with a different frame of mind, then you get different results. And I think that's a skill you have taught me. So for that, I am extremely grateful.
Mm. So let's dive into I think too, like, sometimes people, when they think of coaching, it's like you have to, they may have a belief that that you have to sort of have a huge problem or things need to be falling apart. And I think for you, it's such a great example of sometimes you just feel a little bit stuck and you want to level up, right? And that can be a great time to bring somebody into your life. And I know you've brought in that from a business standpoint, and you've allowed me to contribute to your life in that way. But speak a little bit to that, you know, that it doesn't have to mean you have major problems or something going terribly wrong in your life to benefit from coaching.
Oh, absolutely not. I really don't even think I've had like a major problem, what I would consider major in my time working with you at all. I mean, clearly there's bumps in the road or things I want to iron out or talk through. But I think it is more, and how I would describe it, I don't know that I've only done therapy a very short time at one point in my life, but whereas therapy, I think is more like unpacking the past. I look at coaching as helping me attack the future and helping me like make my way and creating the life I want. Instead of, it's not really about rehashing, it's about making things better.
I love that. That's my mission. For me, this kind of work came into my life, I don't know, like over 20 years ago. And up until that point, it was like I was living my life, but my past was sort of in my future. So everything that I was approaching, I was kind of approaching it from, let's say, like a lens or a pair of glasses that I was looking through my past. So what I'm capable, what all these beliefs I had about myself that weren't necessarily true, but had gotten created over my experiences and lifetime. And so it was all shading my future. And I felt like I had no power. And to me, like I learned the tools to put my past in my past and start to create and design the future from a place, from like a blank canvas, and leveraging using your mind to actually help you do that. And that's my mission, is to pay forward the tools so that people don't have to keep recreating, the pain or unfulfilling results of the past. And you just described it really clearly. And that's exactly what it is. So are there any specific like moments that you could share that illustrates something that shifted that perspective for you inside of our work together?
Well, I would say the one I use the most is the donuts.
Yes, the circle tool.
The circle tool.
That looks like a donut.
Yes. So I'll just describe it, but you taught me how to, kind of, if there's something going on or an issue or something that happened, to draw a small circle with a larger circle around it. And then the little circle, write down what happened. And then the larger circle around it, write your feelings about that. And when you do that, you quickly realize like what is just the thoughts you're putting around that versus what's the actual issue. And I use it all the time. So if I get stuck, even a personal issue, but maybe also just a work block that is holding me up, like I'm having a mental block and I can't figure out how to get through it. Sometimes, there's that project, you just don't know what the next step to take is. Or, there's just something that's blocking you from moving forward on it. And I will use that tool to like, why am I blocking on this? Like, what is it? What do I need to do like in the center? So I use it in a very practical way like that to just help me break down sometimes what the next step is. As well as if I'm dealing with a personal issue, it's great too. Like, I got mad about this, but why, type of analysis.
Yeah. Sometimes your spouse might just say like one thing or one word, and you can create a whole outer circle of all kinds of meaning. Not you, Heather, but I do that. And
No,
we all do it, right? but like you can like just so quickly our minds can make so much meaning out of one word or one statement, and then all of that creates a lot of emotion and drama, and typically in our life we respond to all of it. And what the circle tool does, as you're describing, is helps you separate what actually happened or what was said from all the meaning that our minds quickly add to it. And it just gives you a lot of power to look at what actually happened and remember who you want to be and what you're up to and what the ultimate goal is here, and be able to respond in a way that aligns with that instead of all the emotion and drama, which often is based in the past anyway.
I
So
would say the
I love
other
that.
thing I've grown in our work together is just the ability to journal a bit. And sometimes it's not even that extensive, or sometimes I just, it's literally maybe just even a couple of sentences, but I use that as a tool so much more now in my thinking. And I think it helps me get to another level with my thinking. And I don't think I really ever use, I mean, I would make lists and I would make mainly list type notes before, but now sometimes I'll just freeform write about something. And what a powerful tool that is. And I hate that I lived so much of my life without doing that.
Mhm. Writing is like I'm blown away all the time of the incredible tool that we have at our fingertips 24/7. It's free. And like just last week, I was working on a project or not working on a project that I needed to be working on. And I felt stuck and I wasn't sure where to start or how to, and it was, it was making it like this big monster in my head and not wanting to do it. And usually if I feel that way, sitting down to write for 2 to 5 minutes, I can get clarity about what was stuck and where I actually want the direction of it to go. Like the writing can help me get there so quickly and break through that to be able to get started on something. So, well, and I
And
think
just
we
think
have
of
to
what you
mention,
just
yeah,
said is that it takes 2 to 5 minutes. You've overcome that. And think of how much time you probably spent like just rolling it around in your head and blocking
yes,
yourself. And so kind of knowing that that's your means to an end is powerful.
that's right. I love that. Well, I love, Heather, that one, I use your service in my business, which I love and appreciate. And you've allowed me to be your coach, and we also have built like a friendship along the way. So it's like this multifaceted relationship. But Heather and I just had lunch together, and and you were sharing with me your journal. Would you tell everybody about it? Because I think it's the end of the year. Like people are thinking about planners and the new year, and I think it's such a great tool.
I will I will tell you. You'll have to help me with the author's name though. You knew the
Yes,
author's name.
I will.
I
It's
can't
the
remember it right
author is
now.
Brendan Burchard, and he has a book called High Performance Habits. And Heather discovered that he's got another tool that I didn't know about.
It's the High Performers Journal. And it's really cool because there's kind of like a week overview where you kind of look at your week from a high level perspective. And then each day has a full 2-page spread. So there's the left side has a room for journaling in the morning and some questions to kind of prompt and set your mindset for the day. And then there's room to like write down what your schedule is for the day, things that you must get done. And then on the right side, there's the night journal where you kind of download your day and kind of rate yourself on how you did, or did you stay on the tasks that you wanted to do? And you can even like score yourself at the end. Some of it's kind of maybe a little too intense, but it's I find it to be a nice guide. And so each journal is is for 3 months at a time. So there's a 2 full page spread for each day, which I think I like that because it gives me a lot of room for just one day when I have a million meetings and different things. I can jot it all down in one place. So I shared my journal with Carla at lunch because I thought she would appreciate seeing that, and I recommend it.
Yeah, I'm going to order one too. Well, and I think that the topic we've landed on of like reflection and that, like you said, that 2 to 3 minutes or 5 minutes of journaling, like I think as women, as leaders, as human beings, as high achieving people who have, a lot going on and big ideas, and that reflection is often like such a missed opportunity, like just 5 minutes of reflection in the morning to create your day, or at the end of the day to reflect on the day. I think is such a powerful tool for all of us, right?
Absolutely.
Well, and I think at the end of like this is going to air at the end of this year, and I think for me, it's a time where I start to really reflect on the year and think about what I want to create in the new year. I'd love to hear like what you're doing in regard to that. Have you started? Yeah, that
Um, I
process.
def, I'm like you. I definitely do a lot of New Year's reflection. Um, Kind of see how I ended the year, how I did on the goals I set for myself. This year, I implemented EOS in my business, which is a book called Traction, and it's a way of running your business. And in December, I'm getting my team together, and we'll do our end of the year meeting and kind of plan our goals and what we call rocks for the new year. And so that
Like
will
your big
happen kind of
rocks,
our big rocks for the year.
big focus
And that
points.
will be a focus for us in December, is kind of seeing that forward. So right now I'm just trying to put a lot of energy on visualizing what the next year could be, looking at where this year went and how it panned out and kind of where we ended up. It's always an evolution. And so I'm really looking forward to that time with my team and kind of having that day set aside to really work on the next year.
Yeah.
So I don't really have any
And
answers for you yet, but I'm working on them.
well, no, I mean, really what I was looking for was just the process that you go through at the end of the year to do that. And I think it's so important to just even like I like to think of goals like they can be a place to get to, but they are also a place to come from. And I think setting goals or having intentions out there or commitments out there can guide how we want to show up and how we want to behave and the actions we take right here and now today, versus waiting for someday to get there. It's like, how can we create that now and move in that direction towards our goal?
So
And
one
it's
thing
the
my
perfect
husband and I
timing.
do at the end of the year is we do what we call the meeting of the minds. And we generally kind of block out a half day for this. We bring in something yummy to eat, probably open up a bottle of champagne or wine with it. And we really just kind of review our lives.
Mm.
Simple things to what house repairs or enhancements we need to do, like what do we like in our life, what do we not like in our life. Like we review our finances, our bills, what were our trips over the last year, what do we want to do this year. But it's kind of we dropped it a couple of years when our daughter was little, and in the last few years we've picked it up. But it's really a good chance just to put it all on the table, and we just try to keep the mindset of this is exciting. This is exciting to talk about, because it can get a little overwhelming when you're going through your expenses for the year or some of those things. So
Right.
we just try to keep it really positive, and it's about creating, not about criticizing or we spent too much money or anything like that. It's more about just creating and what are our goals and what are we doing towards that. So that's what I do on a personal level.
What a great idea. I love that. Quentin and I do that too. Like just I don't we haven't had like a year-end meeting, like a celebration like that. I love that idea. We may have to do that. But kind of on a regular basis, just creating together what you want next in your life and including all those different areas of your life. I think that's beautiful. And watching you, like you're somebody who has a dream and like you put it out there and start marching towards it. Like I've seen so many things become fruitful in your life watching you do that. So that totally makes sense that you plan that every year. I love that.
Thank you,
I
Carla.
love
Well,
that.
you definitely helped me. So would not be where I am without your support.
Well, it's been an honor to work with you and coach you and travel next to you and plan our business lives together. Like we've done some collaboration there, and I deeply appreciate that. Is there anything else that you were wanting to share that you didn't have a chance to?
I can't think of anything else. I really hope we have a great year ahead, and I'm looking forward to continuing working with you and seeing where we go from here.
Yeah, likewise. Likewise. Thank you so much for being here today, and I will see you soon.
Thank you, Carla.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Differently. I hope it stirred your thinking, and I invite you to take one inspired action from something that stood out to you. If you love listening to this podcast, may I please ask you to leave a review in Apple Podcasts. These mean so much to me. I read every one. They help to grow the podcast, and honestly, on some days, they give me the fuel to keep going. If you want to hear more conversations like this, hit follow on your favorite podcast app and help me spread the word. If this episode could impact someone you know, please share it and pass it along. Remember, episodes drop weekly. See you next time.